You're here because you need help on defense in college football 25. I'm here to help you. Now, defense can seem very overwhelming and very complicated at times, especially if this is your first time playing a football video game in a while. Also, keep in mind the defense in this game is not very good. It's a very offensive-based game, and sometimes you're going to give up a lot of points no matter what. But you want to make sure that you are nailing the basics and the fundamentals to give yourself the best chance to get stops. The first thing we have to talk about is matching personnel. When you're in a game, whether it's versus the computer or another opponent, let them pick their offensive play first. A little pop-up will appear on the screen that lets you know their personnel. It might say 3 receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and basically you're going to use that to determine which set you should come out in. If the personnel says that there's 2 wide receivers or less, you typically want to be in something like a 4-3 or a 3-4 formation depending on your playbook. With this game, you might not have those formations. You might have something like 4-2-5 or 3-3-5 stack, 3-3-5 high, something like that. But basically, you want to have guys in the box because if they're coming out in 2 receivers or less, that means they're probably running the ball. Now, if you see that they have 3 receivers on the field, that's when you want to start looking at nickel sets. Nickel gives you an extra cornerback on the field, so you're matching speed for speed. If you see them come out with 4 receivers, you want to look at something like a dime or a dollar defense because that's going to give you 4 cornerbacks on the field. This is why you don't want to come out in a 3-4 or a 4-3 if your opponent's showing 3 receivers, for example, because one of the receivers is going to either be matched up with a linebacker or a safety, which is typically going to be a mismatch. If you had come out in a nickel set, you would have a cornerback matched up on him, and that would be a better matchup speed for speed. Now, if you're in a zone defense, this doesn't matter as much, but typically you still want to have the proper amount of speed on field to match the offense. Now, on the flip side of this, you don't want to come out in a nickel or a dime set if your opponent is showing 2 or less receivers because there's a high chance that he's going to run the ball. So if the offense has those extra big bodies on the field like tight ends and blockers, you don't want to come out in a defense that has all these smaller DBs on the field because that's going to put you at a disadvantage if he runs the ball and you're going to likely get gashed for easy yards. Now let's talk about basic adjustments. So if you want to adjust your defensive line, what you want to do is you want to press left on the D-pad and this will pull up your defensive line adjustments. You can see on the left stick and on the right stick you have a bunch of different things you can do. If you want to slide them left, you go left on the left stick and you see the line slides left. So if you're expecting like a run to that side or something, you can do that. If you want to slide to the right, it's the opposite. You're going to go to the right. You can pinch them down as well, which is also something good to do if you're suspecting a run up the middle. Or you can spread them out if you want to get a little bit better pass rush. You can also slant them to the left, to the right, outside, or down. So for example, if you're expecting the run, you might want to pinch them and then you might want to slant them to the inside like this to help you get some push up the middle. To adjust your linebackers, you press right on the D-pad and then that brings up your linebacker options. So you can shift them to the left, you can shift them to the right, you can spread them, and you can pinch them down. Now, if you want to zone out all of your linebackers, you can go up on the right stick and it'll put them both in zones like this. If you want to blitz all of your linebackers, you can go down on the right stick and now you will see the linebackers are blitzing. Now, hey, if you're still here at this point of the video and you haven't subscribed yet, you might as well go ahead and subscribe, join the family, because you're basically already a part of the family anyway. That way you can stay up to date with all the best college football tips all year long to help you win more games. Now, moving on to the secondary, to adjust them, you press the Y or triangle button and you can see you have a bunch of options on the sticks here as well. 2 of the more popular ones are going to be to either give cushion by going up on the left stick. This is what you do if it's a big play or before half, right at the end of the game. You don't want to give up a big play. You want to back them up. Another thing you can do is press them by going down on the left stick, which is another popular thing. Just be careful with pressing because you can get beat over the top pretty easily pressing. It's a kind of a high risk, high reward, so just be mindful of that. Now, you can also show some disguised coverages with this as well. So you can see left on the left stick says show 2, which means we're going to show a cover 2 look. Now, we're in a cover 3 right here, and you can tell because there's one safety at the top of the screen. If we go to show 2, notice how the defense realigns to show a cover 2, but we're still actually in a cover 3. And you can do the same thing with the show 3 feature by going right on the left stick. So if you came out like in a cover 2 defense or a cover 4, you can adjust this to show a cover 3 on field. Now, you can also shade your defense, which is really important. You can shade over the top by going up on the right stick. You can shade to the inside or the outside by going left to right. And you can shade underneath, which is really useful with zone defense. Now, over top usually is something I'll do if I am trying, again, to not get beat deep. If I'm in man and I want my guys to bail a little bit and make sure that they get back. Underneath is something I'm going to do a lot of times if I'm in like maybe a cover 2 or a cover 3 zone. That's going to tell all of my intermediate defenders to kind of play down into the flats in the drag area of the field. So let me show you an example of this. This is a standard cover 3. I'm going to put 2 drags on this play, to my tight end and to the wide receiver. And this is something a lot of people have trouble stopping. You can see, oh my goodness, the tight end's wide open and he's running for almost 10 yards. Well, if I shade my defense down by pressing a Y or triangle and then down on the right stick, I want you to notice how the cover 3 changes. Now we have hard flats on the field instead of curl flats. The 2 yellow hook zones are also going to play a little more aggressive. So now watch what happens when I try to throw this same tight end route. Notice how we get a pick because we told him to play underneath. Now he's playing aggressive. This is one of the best things you can learn as a beginner, because if you just come out in standard coverages, a lot of people are going to dink and dunk you to the flats and underneath. Occasionally shade down to catch them off guard, and you can get big stops and picks this way. Let's show another example of this. So again, we're in the standard cover 3 here, and I'm going to throw this flat route to the running back. Now, I'm not going to get a ton of yards here. I mean, we missed the tackle, but let's just say I should have got 2 or 3 yards. Nothing crazy, but sometimes can be backbreaking. Well, if we shade down, again, you're going to see we've got hard flats on the field. They're going to play more aggressive. Now when we go to throw this route, I want you to watch how the defender is right on top of him, and that time he limited it to no yards, and that could have easily also been a pick if he was a little quicker, or it could have knocked the ball out and been incomplete altogether. Now I do want to mention really quickly that I do have a membership where I post my ebooks, all of the best defenses and schemes in the game. If you really want to take your game to a higher level and win all of your online games, make sure to hit the link in the pinned comment below. Now let's talk about individual player adjustments. So if I get on my linebacker here, I can press the A button on Xbox or the X button on PlayStation, and I could put him in a wide variety of different things. If I want to drop him over the deep middle in a middle third, I can go up on the left stick, and you can see now he's going to drop to the deep middle. We don't need that on this play because we already have our safety back there, but just to show you an example. If we want to put him into a hard flat, we can go right on the right stick, and you can see he's dropping into the hard flat now. If we want to man him up, we go up on the right stick for man coverage, and then we will select the person we want to man him up on. So let's say we want to kind of bracket the B receiver, put an extra guy on him, right? We got a guy over the top, which is this guy back here, but now this guy will run out here and kind of help to bracket him a little bit better. We can blitz him down by going down on the right stick. We could put him into a QB spy by going left on the right stick, which is a very important adjustment to stop mobile QBs, which I'll get to in a little bit. And I can do this on any player. I can go to the cornerback over here, and if I want to put him into a cloud flat, I can go down on the left stick, and now he's in a cloud flat. Now, of course, we're leaving the deep field on the right side open, but it's just an example that you can change anybody you want on the field. You can even do this on the D line. If I want to get some extra guys in coverage, I can drop my defensive line into a vertical hook, and you can see now we've got another guy over the middle of the field. I can put my defensive end in a spy if I have a fast defensive end and I want him to spy a fast QB. Now, if you're a beginner, I would not suggest changing a lot of stuff right now because that's going to be a little overwhelming. There's only a few things I would really recommend doing that we've gone over, which is backing up your secondary if it's like the end of half or a big play, shading underneath in zone if you're trying to stop the short routes, pinching your D line if you're worried about the run. Those are kind of really simple, quick things you can do. The only other couple of adjustments I would make as a beginner are using contains and QB spies to stop mobile QBs. Now, we're going to switch teams right quick so I can show you a faster QB. All right, now we've got Jalen Milroe, the most electric QB in the game, over 90 speed, very hard to stop. So to do a QB contain, you press the RB or R1 button twice. 1, 2. Now you'll see your outside pass rushers are going to be in contain assignments. Now, let me let you know this. Sometimes contains do bug out and don't work as intended. But against average players that aren't trying to purposely glitch out the contains, this will do a pretty good job at stopping mobile QBs. So what happens is if I try to take off with Milroe, you'll see the contain is out there. His job is to make sure I don't get to the outside. We're going to do it again. RB twice for me because I'm on Xbox, contain, and you can see I can't get to the outside and I'm losing a bunch of yards. The other thing you can do is the QB spy, like I said. So typically you want to make sure you're putting a pretty fast guy in a spy because that's going to be important. So whether it's a defensive end, like an edge rusher right here, like Pierce, who's going to be really fast, you know, him, I would like to leave him rushing though, just because he's such a good pass rusher. So we'll just take one of our linebackers. I'm not sure how fast these guys are, but we had A or X depending on your system, left on the right stick. Now he's in a spy. And what happens here is he will literally follow the QB. He will spy him. So if I'm trying to run, he's going to be there to meet me. Now that guy was clearly not that fast. I probably still could have got some good yards. So let's put Pierce in the spy here just to show you because I know he's a lot faster. We're going to try to roll out and I'm going to show you, you know, just how good he is. Look, I'm trying to roll. I'm trying to get to the outside. I just can't because he's too fast. That's what a QB spy can do for you. The next thing we're going to talk about is pass committing and run committing, but pay very close attention because this can get you in a little bit of trouble. You need to be careful with it. So to run commit or pass commit, you press the RB or R1 button, and you can see that on the right stick here, you have the ability to guess pass by going up on the right stick, or you can guess the run to the left, the run to the right, or the run up the middle. Now, if it's a very obvious running situation, situation, like if it's on the goal line, a place where you can't really get beat over the top if you guess wrong, it's okay to use run commit. Just be very careful, because if you do run commit and they're passing, you could give up a touchdown. But for example, if I think they're running up the middle, I could press RB or R1 and then down on the right stick to guess run up the middle. And what'll happen is you'll see everybody kind of rushes down to commit to the run. We still were able to fall forward for a few yards there. That's another reason why I don't love run committing too much, because, sometimes it still doesn't even do that much for you. Obviously, if you get in there with your user, you can help limit it as well. But run committing, it's very hit or miss, and a lot of times it's more risk than it's worth. So just be very mindful of that. I use it on the goal line sometimes, but that's about it. Now, pass committing, on the other hand, is actually very useful. For example, if it's a 3rd and long and you know they're not going to run the ball, you can guess pass, because it's going to help your defensive ends actually get to the QB quicker. It's going to kind of have them pin their ears back a little more, and they'll block shit a little quicker. But it's also very useful for the play action game. Now, versus the play action, this can be really good, because if you're running someone that just loves to run play action, you're going to want to send some extra rushers at them, like send a blitz at them, but you want to pass commit by going RB, R1, and then up on the right stick. This will let your defense know not to bite on the run, to only focus on the QB, and this will have you in a situation where you can sack the QB coming off the play action a good amount of the time. So it'll look something like this. I'm doing the play action. As soon as I go to try to throw, it's too late. I'm sacked because I was sending a heavy blitz and I pass committed. So right here, I'm sending 6 guys at the QB, because if you want to beat a play action, you do typically want to send an extra rusher or 2 just to be safe. And with what I'm doing here is I'm sending that extra rusher. I'm pass committing, telling my defense, focus on the pass. I can't get the ball off now because they're free rushing and they're not biting on the play action. Now let's talk about the coverages that you need to know about, the most basic ones that are good for beginners. So if you go over to the concept tab on your playbook, you can press the LB, RB, or L1, R1 to cycle through the tabs on your playbook. You want to go to concept. Now, the first thing you want to know is cover 2 man. This is like the safest coverage in the game, and man coverage is definitely better than zone in this game, so this is important. This is going to be man across the board, 2 deep safeties over the top, so everybody's accounted for. It's hard to get beat over the top. If it's passing situations, use the pass commit. If you have a good D-line, just let them go to work. The next important coverage is cover 2, but you want to use Tampa 2. You don't really want to use cover 2 hard flat or cover 2 invert. Those can be okay, but Tampa 2 for beginners is where you're going to want to be. So there's a bunch of different versions of Tampa 2. As long as it says Tampa 2 in the play and not cover 2 hard flat, cover 2 invert, you'll be good. Basically what a Tampa 2 is going to do is it's going to try to keep most things in front of you. You can beat it deep, but you have to have very precise passes and you have to be a good player to do it. This will keep a lot of stuff in front and they'll rally down, and it just kind of makes people, the average person have to dink and dunk you down the field, which leaves more opportunities for them to make mistakes. Then you've got cover 3 zone. Now make sure you're not calling cover 3 match. You want to do something like cover 3 sky, or if it just says plain cover 3, that's good. Cover 3 hard flat is good as well, but that's basically going to be a cover 3 that is shaded down essentially, so it's going to play more aggressive, just so you know that. You can call a regular cover 3 sky and do your shade underneath and kind of have the best of both worlds. You can pick, do you want to play standard or do you want to play underneath, but just don't pick cover 3 match because that doesn't work the same. Cover 3 is going to be a pretty safe coverage versus most players to not let up anything deep. Again, it's going to kind of keep a lot of stuff in front of you and rally down. This one is a little bit better at protecting deep than cover 2, and more times than not, you're going to be pretty safe with this. Now for blitzing, the easiest thing to do is to go to man blitz in your playbook, and what you want to do here is you want to look at the plays. Notice all the red lines, those are players who are rushing the QB. So you want to pick a play that has 6 red lines. That means you're rushing 6, and by default, the offense is blocking 5, which is the O-line. Most players aren't going to block their running back. They don't go into the extra protections. They just block the 5 guys. So if you send 6 versus 5, you have a numbers advantage and you can get a free rusher. So look at some of the different plays in here that have 6 guys rushing. So for example, this play, Sting Pinch, has 6 guys rushing. That's perfect. Now you could see here the offense has everybody going out. Only 5 people are blocking. So that means somebody is coming free, and there we go. We got a free rusher at the QB. Now, when you're blitzing, keep in mind, something's going to be open. That's the nature of blitzing. When you're sending a blitz, you're leaving everybody on an island, or you're leaving the flats open or something. So, a good player might pick up on that and find the open spot. But again, this is beginner tips. So if you're going up against beginners or average players, they might not do this, and this will be an easy way to get to the QB. Just don't try to do this every play. Mix it in, try to catch him off guard. That's the beauty of blitzing. If you're playing cover 2, cover 3, cover 2 man, you're throwing a lot of coverage at them, you're making them have to dink and dunk, and then occasionally, here's a 3rd down, now you pull out a blitz. They're not expecting it because you've been dropping everybody back, and that's how you can get some stops. Now that you know about defense, you're halfway there. Now you need to know about all the other tips that can help you out on offense as well, and you can check out that video right here on the screen.